All right, guys, it's the Starting Line Society. Tonight we're supposed to have Gary Gardenhire and John Myers, but Gary is Gary's stuck at work, and when it comes to paying the bills, Gary's got to get it done. He's got a racetrack to run. So for right now, we've got I'm calling somebody on my phone, random. We've got John Myers Jr. Hold on, I got an applause. John Myers Jr. Everybody. There we go.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, wow. They really seem to like you, man. I don't know what's going on. Jesus Christ. All right. So, yes, the Starting Line Society. We've got some exciting stuff on the agenda for tonight. Unfortunately, like I said, Gary's not going to be here. So, we might be joined by the boys here in a little while. Colin is John's son. He's quite an accomplished junior dragster driver. He's done some pretty good stuff. Him and Forrest used to battle it out in Roswell Dragway for the track championship in, was that 2021-ish, something like that, John?
21, 22, something like that. So
Yeah, good times, man. All year long, it was back and forth the entire season.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely a highlight of the year to watch those two kids go at it for sure.
Yeah, those two never disappointed. That's for sure. So
Yeah, man.
It was good.
It seems like they always caught each other in the first round. It didn't matter what it was. It was either the buyback round or the second round, and
Absolutely.
yeah, just back and forth the whole year. So again, yeah, like I said, we're going to be talking about all kinds of different junior stuff tonight. We're just trying to give everybody a general idea of what it takes to get into junior racing, and I guess some of the pitfalls and stuff that me and John have gone through, because we've been doing it for. I've been in it for 6. John, you've probably been in it for about the same time, no?
Yeah, right around the same time. So I actually raced myself, but then Colin, Molly both raced, and yeah, it's about 6 or 8 years now. So,
Yeah. Well, and when it comes to having 2 cars at the track, it's always more difficult than having one. But I've had 3 cars at the track, and that's definitely not a fun time for. I mean, it's always fun, but when you're trying to dial in 3 cars, especially when they're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum, where you've got a 790 car, an 890 car, and a 1390 car, and you're trying to figure all that stuff out at once, it can definitely be challenging for even the most seasoned junior parents.
oh yeah, and then you throw in a big car too on top of it. That always adds just a little bit of spice to it.
Yeah, it's always fun racing with the Warlord Dragster, and then I had the 3 kids out there, and it was the kids make a pass, and then I'm in the pits helping with the big car, and then as soon as they call juniors, I'm like, all right, I got to take off again, and I can just hear Paul in the trailer going, oh my god, dude, where are you going now? Yeah, I think it got to one point in time where he was like, you know what, dude, I'm just done with it. You can't bring juniors out here no more when we have the big car.
Oh yeah.
We tried to separate it as much as possible, but sometimes they both end up at the same race. But when we got down to one car, it was a little bit easier. Is that Mason Tuck behind you right there?
That is Mason Tuck.
So I see Mason.
Colin got to visit the winner's circle, and granted, it was a what was it? Would have been a quarterfinals, I guess. So.
Oh, that was at the Motorplex, yeah.
Semifinals, actually, so he got down to the semifinals in the 64 car shootout at Western last year. So,
okay.
And we got Big Mason, we got Big Buddha right there with us too, Chris Cleveland. So.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good. I've never been to a Division 7 junior finals race, but.
No, this was Division 4 up in Motorplex.
Oh, okay. Western Conference Finals?
Western Conference Finals up in Motorplex.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, well, I mean, as you know, I've only been to the Division 7 junior finals race, but we had a little bit of success out there in Vegas, so I'd like to, think back on that as one of the highlights of the junior crew chief parent type, deal. I mean, obviously everybody has their ups and downs, but I guess the first thing we want to get into is when it comes to, I guess, getting in the game. Maybe your kid says, "Dad, I want to drive a junior. I want to give it a shot." What's your first move, John? When your kid says, "Hey, I want to drive a junior," what's your first move? Being a seasoned parent.
as a unseasoned parent,
No, as a seasoned parent.
honestly, I'm going to say let's go to the track. Let's go talk to other junior parents. Let's go talk to other junior drivers. Let's go look around. Let's go spend some time. Let's go visit with those drivers. Let's go sit inside of a car. Most of the time, your junior parents, it doesn't matter where you're at across the country. Last year, we traveled every single weekend of the year. We were home 7 weekends is all we were home for the whole entire year. We traveled across the country. We were everywhere from Gulfport, Mississippi to Las Vegas to Dallas to wherever we could travel for we could hit a race, we were there. And I guarantee you there's a parent or a bunch of parents there at every single race that is more than willing to say, hey, come jump in my car. And there's also parents there that are going to say, make a pass in my car. Go drive it in the pit area for a few minutes and make sure that it's something you want to do, because let's be honest, these cars are loud. These cars can be scary to some kids. So it's one of those that make sure that you're comfortable before you ever do it. And as a parent, talk to the parents, talk to them, get kind of budgets figured out, kind of what to look for, where to look for, and kind of work your way from there.
I think I'd probably be right around the same lines as you are. Obviously, going to the track is mandatory, and like I said, depending on how young the kid is, you definitely want to get them around them as early as possible, because like you said, the 790 cars they're very loud. They're loud, and I mean, a lot of people would say, I mean, we won't name names because me and him have a pretty good relationship now, but some people say that junior dragsters are the most annoying sound on the planet.
I've heard that once or twice.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, and you know that we've had conversations about it before. I mean, we're on good terms now, but when it comes to the shit, I was about juniors. I'm all about juniors. It's always going to be part of my life, and I will always do what I can to defend them. I mean, are they annoying? Yeah, but there's no need to call them out on it. They're kids, you know what I mean? But
kids, they're out there doing the same thing that the adults are doing in their big cars. And in all honesty, it is debatable, 100%. They can run these juniors just as quick as you can run a big car, 90% of the time. Yes, there's issues. Yes, there's those parents that will rebuild a carburetor, as they say, on the starting line. But, I mean, for the most part, the races are fast. Every race we went to this year so far, we've been up to Tucson. We raced Tucson. That was a great race that we had for the New Year's hangover race. Then we've been down to San Angelo, which was phenomenal. First time we've ever been to that track, and Mark put on a race like no other. It was the Southwest Series first race, and it was phenomenal race and beautiful track all around. I've got no complaints. We had a couple issues there, but hey, we went rounds and we were having fun. We were with our racing family, so it was good. Then we ended up at Motorplex 2 weeks ago, and we had a lot of fun while we were up there as well. So, I mean, and once again, Motorplex is one of those tracks, and DeMarcus puts on a race that is like no other. There's cars running all the time. You got a pair crossing the finish line, you got a pair on the starting line, you got a pair in the burnout box. So you don't have time to mess around. You don't have time to rebuild a carburetor, as they say, on the starting line. So, well,
we all know somebody who's been guilty of rebuilding the carburetor on the starting line a time or two. Yeah, I know I got one name that comes to mind, and I'm sure it's the same name that comes to your mind, but we love him to death anyways. You know what I mean? So,
I'm sure.
But getting back to the junior scenario, one thing that I always try to point out to new junior parents, or anybody that asks the question, is what kind of car, or not necessarily what kind of car, but what size cage. A lot of people will buy, hey, this guy's got a cheap junior dragster for sale. He says it's got a 16-inch cage. Come to find out his kid needs a 20-inch cage. So I always try to, I didn't really do it in the beginning, but after Forrest started racing, and, obviously he's 16 years old now, and from where he was when he started racing to now, I mean, obviously he's, 3 times, I mean, he's just massive. So if I had known now what I'd known then, I would have, I'd have bought him a 21, 22-inch car, so that way he could have grown into it. Now, that's not always good for everybody, because a lot of kids like Paul Vineyard, Michael's a pretty small guy, but Henry, who I'm building a junior for now, his daughter Olivia is the tiniest little 6-year-old kid you've ever seen. I mean, she's tiny. And there's not, I mean, you'd have to put a bunch of extra stuff into a car just so that way she doesn't, flop around a lot in case something were to happen. But I mean, they really don't make cars for somebody that small, so you kind of sort of have to adapt. But depending on how big you think they're going to get, I would always try to err on getting a bigger car versus a smaller car because junior dragsters are expensive. I mean, the cheapest one you're going to find if it's a good car is 35 to $4,000 for a roller. Then you got to buy all the motor and stuff, but you don't want to have to do that 3 or 4 times throughout their junior career, which unfortunately I did. But luckily, one of the cars was able to make it through the entire time we had juniors, and every single one of my kids raced it at least one season. But yeah, I think going for a car with a larger cage than you need is definitely something that you want to take a look at when looking at buying any junior. It doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. I mean, everybody's got their je ne sais quoi when it comes to junior manufacturers. I mean, obviously, I was a McGee guy when I first started, and then we graduated into JR Race Car. Shout out to Cody and all those guys over at JR Race Car for building some great chassis. But I know you guys started out with something different, and then yeah, you guys have had multiple cars since you guys started.
So we've had 3 cars. We're on our 4th car right now. First car I bought, and it was going back to your getting started. We bought an old early 2000s, late 90s junior dragster. It was a motivational tubing car. We had an LO206, which tiniest motor basically on it. And we went out, and that's what my kids learned for the first year to 2 years in. And then we upgraded both of them, went to RPCs, which were phenomenal cars for us. And same thing. I think the cage on the early one was 17 and a half, I think at most. And then when we upgraded cars, we actually went to 19-inch cages on both cars for my son and my daughter. Then after that, just recently, beginning of last year, we bought the car that's actually in the picture behind us from the Poplowskis out of Dallas area. And the car has the same exact way. It's a 19.5-inch cage. Colin's got a little bit of room in the cage to move around a little bit, not a ton of room. But I agree. I would always go with a bigger cage. And honestly, if it's too big, get a pour-in seat and work with the pour-in seats in the juniors. That's what I've seen a couple people do recently where they're starting out. They'll go buy a 22-inch cage or a 22-inch cage car and go ahead and do a pour-in seat. That way it kind of fits the smaller driver and make sure that they're safe, of course. So.
All right, let me. We're gonna try to get the boys on here at some point in time, because obviously, like I said, we had conversations when we first started about the I guess competitiveness between the two boys, especially racing out in Roswell. They didn't get to race much in Albuquerque, and I don't think they ever got to race at Odessa, because I'm not sure that you guys were over there when we were racing, because it was always no prep stuff. And chaos.
So initially, when we kicked off, we didn't. And honestly, the first time we visited Odessa was this past year. So, and it is, I will 100% say, and I know Gary's not on the call with us, but I will say it to Gary, that track right there is phenomenal. That is one of the best tracks in this area, and guaranteed that is the track that anytime anybody asks what our home track is, it is Penwell. Penwell is the home track to us and is phenomenal. So.
Well, and just going back to that, we've raced at Penwell Knights a lot, and I mean a lot. We've the first time I went there was for Annihilation No Prep in I think it was during COVID. It was like, I think it was 2019, 2018, something like that. And it was a massive success. There was lots of cars. I got to hang out with Mike Murillo and Scott. That's when I first met Scott McKinstry. He just recently passed away. That's where I formed a relationship with him. So we're looking forward to going out to Bounty Hunters in a couple weeks. I know you're going to be there. But it's always been crowned as the place where, the no prep season starts. And this is, I believe, Bounty Hunters 10. They used to have it at Wichita Raceway Park. I know Winter Meltdown's always been in Odessa. But Matt and Maddie have been just kind of running with it. And like I said, I've only been to no prep races in Odessa, but Annihilation was phenomenal. We had a great time, but Bounty Hunter it just sort of seems like family. So I'm excited for you to to go down and run, another one, and just, like I said, it's something different when you go down to PKR, and that's why we kind of sort of wanted to do the podcast tonight about junior racing. I mean, obviously juniors are an integral part of the success of drag racing in the future, because without junior drag racers, I don't know who's going to be the driving force. I mean, look at Maddie Gordon. She started out driving a junior, and I mean, they raced each other at the division finals one year, her and Jazzy, and now she drives a top field dragster for Ron Capps. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's no doubt that they're the future. So we want to try to give as much love to the juniors as possible, and like I said, PKR is I guess for me, it's the pinnacle of the way juniors get treated, because Gary's a junior dad himself. I think he's got 2 kids racing, and I know Gunnar does pretty well down there in Odessa. He's won some races and raced for a track championship a time or two. But like I said, it's the way juniors get treated obviously is a driving factor in what brings me. And I know it's probably the same for you. The way you get treated at a track is everything to a junior racer, especially when some tracks treat you like you're, second class citizens or whatever. And I mean, that hasn't happened to very, very often, but, for you, I mean, obviously, it's a driving factor, but does that ever play a role into returning back to a track if you've been there once and you've been treated like, just not like you're not important, or,
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And of course, I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but we've been
Right.
to tracks that we weren't treated right. We weren't, rules weren't followed that are put into place to keep kids safe. Rules, the rules that are put out there for a race are not kept, and that's just something that we can move on and go to a different track and go race somewhere else. And I mean, it's not a huge deal, but honestly, one of the biggest factors for me as far as where we go racing, yes, is the quality of the race itself, the quality of the track itself, but also how they treat the kids is my biggest thing. I can care less how they treat me. They can treat me like thorough garbage, but if they're good to my kid, we're going to go back. If they treat the kid good, we're going to go back. And, not to throw too much shout out to DeMarcus up there at Motorplex, but DeMarcus is a phenomenal guy. During Western Conference, every single night he takes the kids out on a cruise, is what they call it. So all the kids take the bikes out, they take the golf carts out, and he restricts how fast they can go, makes them follow him. They just go on different things, and he makes it fun. They're just popsicles, ice cream, they'll honk their horns, they'll play around. It's stuff like that that makes you want to go back to that track, makes you want to be part of that as they're helping the kids grow. And in all honesty, if the kids aren't having fun, they don't want to race anyways. They'll back out and they'll do something totally different. I mean, we've all seen those kids that just kind of fizzle out because it was boring. They're done. They don't like it. They don't like the way they're treated. They're not. There's lots of things to it that you and I have seen over the years that it's just one of those factors that we gotta look out for on our kids' sake as dads, as crew chiefs, to make sure that we're going to the races that actually are great races, and we're putting the races first that we think are going to be the better of the races to be at. So,
right. Well, like I said, a lot of people. I've heard some people refer to saying that juniors don't bring in any money, they're not the show, and I mean I understand that people don't pay big money to go see a junior dragster as they would see a top fuel car. I mean, I've been to the Division 7 junior finals twice, and not once have I ever seen somebody drive up to the gate and say, "Hey, I'm here to watch the races," and sit up there and watch a bunch of juniors go down the track. You know what I mean? Which I understand, but for the average spectator, junior drag racing may not be exciting. But for a parent that's getting to watch their kids grow into the sport that they love, I mean, it's everything.
Well, and
in
you
life,
and I
you know what I mean?
know that it's not just the parents either. You've got all of the grandparents, the brothers,
Yeah, all the family members, the crew. Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, you're going to have multiple people out there that is there to watch, and what the perfect example of that is we've been down to Abilene to some of the no prep races that they throw down there, and talk about a show for the juniors as well. There is spectators everywhere. Those bleachers are full. Everywhere you look, those bleachers are full to watch the juniors.
And is this a juniors only race?
Nope. This is a no prep race and a junior race.
Okay.
One of the ones specifically that we went to We actually went down there, and juniors were on I think it was a Friday night. It may have been a Saturday. I may be off. But it was one day where juniors, and they did Power Wheels races, and they did a little bit of testing for the big cars is all it was. The next day was the big no prep, race that they were throwing at the time. But you know what? We had a blast, and the spectators were all there watching everything. And I mean, yeah, there was some testing of the big cars, but people weren't getting up and leaving when it was just the big cars, or when it was just the juniors or just the Power Wheels. People were standing around watching. People were swarming the starting line to watch. It was pretty cool to see, because you and I both know in bracket racing, there's not a whole lot of spectators anymore.
Right. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because oftentimes nowadays, I mean, it's only been a couple months since my kids were done. I mean, obviously Lexi's going to drive here and there for other people every once in a while, but I'm just building cars now, and my kids are done. But sometimes I find myself going out to the drag strip and just watching the juniors go down the track. Like the first time I ever, since in the last 6 years, I was out at the track last year because Lexi was playing sports. She was playing a volleyball game or something like that, so she wasn't there, and I was sitting in the back of the lanes, and I was like, it feels really strange, but I'm just gonna stand here and watch all these juniors go down the track. And I did just that. I just sat there and enjoyed, being a spectator for once, because I don't get to do that very often, especially since we have the big car, and we're planning on doing divisionals and this and that, Southwest Superchargers or whatever, which is great. But it's kind of a odd feeling knowing that none of my kids are competitive or even thinking about doing that type of stuff now. I mean, everything's already gone. I sold everything. The only thing I have left is the golf cart. But it's like I said, I hoped it would last forever, but it's like I said, it's weird just standing there and just watching juniors go down the track, knowing that you're not, especially at your home track. Shout out to Albuquerque Dragway. But real quick,
yeah, go for it.
I would like to just do a little shout out for the schedule that we have coming up, because we have some really exciting things coming, and I'm sure that everybody's gonna love it. Friday, March 20th, 7 p.m. right here. It's not live on Twitch or on X right now. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But we're live on YouTube. New Mexico Thunder, the Albuquerque Dragway Legacy. Lyle Greenberg is going to be in studio or on the live call with us, and of course Paul Vineyard's going to be back. And then we're going to be talking about Lyle's impressive, vast amount of knowledge when it comes to Albuquerque Dragway, and I'm sure he'll probably throw some random facts also out about Roswell Dragway, since Roswell Dragway has been around for a little while. We're still looking for someone for the 27th. We haven't quite figured that one out yet, but the big one is going to be coming April 3rd, right here on the Starting Line Society. We're going to have Brian Lewis. He drives the Grumpy 2 alcohol funny car. He finished number 3 in points in the Funny Car Chaos last year. And then we're going to have Mark Mickey, who owns M&M Transmissions. And when it comes to radio racing, I mean, Mark's broken every record you could think of. He was the first person to run a 370 or a 360 in his little Malibu. They made RC car bodies after his car. Like Mark's a pretty bad dude, and he's been fast on a small tire, so we're excited about that one. And then I don't think we have anything for that day, but we do have something, some more stuff in the works. I know that we're gonna have some more great guests on. We're gonna try to do a little bit more stuff geared towards the juniors, but obviously I think time is of the essence here. Maybe we should get the boys in.
Yeah. This sounds good.
All right, let me send the link to my son. Jump in. While we're waiting for the boys to jump in, Bounty Hunters is coming to Penwell Knights Raceway. It's going to be March 27th and 28th at Penwell Knights. They're going to have the little gangsters, small tire, big tire. They got 7.0, 6.0. Obviously, they got the juniors. I think, of course, he's having issues. My kid. They're going to have the juniors.
Out there if you've never been to one of the Winter Meltdowns or the Bounty Hunter races, you need to go. If you have the opportunity to go watch one of these races that Gary puts on, They are phenomenal races.
Well,
We ran a couple of them. We ran the Halloween race that he had. Colin did very well at those races. He actually ended up winning both days in the juniors there.
oh
It was
yeah, I
a
remember
race
that.
like no other. And it's another one of those races that is kind of like the ones you see on TV. You've got people swarming the starting lines. Cars will just enough room for the cars to do their burnouts, pull up to the line, and you've got people all over watching.
Hey,
There's money being thrown around. There's bets. So
even
it,
when the juniors are running, I remember Jazzy was in the semis. I think she was in the semis in 2020 at Winter Meltdown, and man, dude, she every time she did her burnout or tried to do a burnout or did her little dry hop or whatever, she come. Yeah, people would be moving out of the way. I remember people were betting on her. That was
oh yeah,
wild. Yeah. Hey,
yeah.
look, there's the boy. Where's Colin at?
He's on his way. Yeah, give him just a second.
Can you hear me, Forrest?
Yeah, I
Say,
can hear you.
oh, there he is. All right, so Forrest and Colin raced in Roswell together. I don't know, probably 2 years. Man, it was a wild finish that year. I think Forrest lost the track championship to Colin by 5 points. And yeah, oh, there's Colin right there. Hey, Colin.
Hello.
So yeah, we were just talking about the points battle between you guys in 2020. I know that you guys were battling back and forth all year. You guys remember that, Colin, Forrest?
Yes. Yes, and I remember the exact reason why I lost that race, and it'll stick with me until I die.
Yeah. And how did you lose that race, son?
Yeah, we got to hear now. So
He just. Oh man. Yeah. Well, since he popped out of here, he may have to come in here with me because my internet's not too fantastic. But the story goes that Forrest and Jazzy had to race each other first round. And John, I'm not sure if you know this, but I told Jazzy, just go red. Track championships on the line. Teammates got to do what they got to do. You know what I mean? So I told her just go red. And all I said to Forrest was, go green. And hey, he went out there and red, dude. He left before Jazzy did, and Jazzy was
it was way red. I remember that round. So and yeah, you had told me in the past about that one. But yeah it was a bad one.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it started with a like a 1.5 or a 1.8 if I remember correctly. So.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, and even Jazzy got down to the end of the track, and she was like, "What happened?" And I was like,
I went off the second yellow.
He messed up. He was trying to cut a light, even though he shouldn't have been. But Colin, do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
That was a good time. So going back to that year, the competitiveness between you two, like I said, just because it was going back and forth the entire season, how did that work on your guys' psyche when you guys were in the car?
To be honest, I don't know. Going up against Colin, I always knew that he knew what he was doing. He was the right racer and the right driver for the right car, and he had the car he needed. So I knew he was a competitor every time he came up to the line. Hey, there's Gary.
Whoa! Hey, look at this guy. Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, guys?
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Gardenhire is in the house. Hold on, it's going to clap real quick. There we go. Gary Gardenhire, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Gardenhire.
Mr. Gary,
How are y'all doing? Doing good. Just trying to get away so I can get to you guys.
Hey, sounds good.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. We kind of started talking a little bit about the Bounty Hunters race, and obviously we talked about Penwell Knights Raceway. So how long have you owned that track, Gary? I know that you owned it on and off a couple times, if I'm not mistaken.
I bought it in 2008. March of 2008, I decided to buy the place. It wasn't even a thought. It was a banker called me, asked me if I was interested. I told him no, they wanted too much money for it. And he said, think about it and make me an offer. I said, well, I'm not interested, and I hung up the phone on him. And he called me back, said, man, I wish you'd really just think about this and make me an offer. I said, well, I'm going to insult you. He said, insult me. So I did, and ended up owning a damn racetrack.
The rest is history.
It wasn't even a thought. It was just a phone call that I got. Somebody asking if I wanted to buy it. So they heard I might be interested.
Did you have former ties to the track before you bought it?
I raced there.
Okay.
It was abandoned for like 7 or 8 years before I got it.
Okay.
I raced there as a kid, 14, 15, 16 years old when I wasn't supposed to be. And then into my teens and early 20s, I did a little bit of racing. And then we went on the circle track route for a long time. But I was going to buy it to street race only. It was just going to be a street strip deal. And some officers got killed in Odessa. And one of my friends was the captain of the police department. And he asked me if we could put on a benefit race for him. So that's how it all started. September that year, I spent a ton of money. September that year, we opened up, had over 10,000 people for our first race and 450 race cars, and I never did nothing. Never even put on a show. So it was trial by fire.
Well, it seems like it's working out pretty well for you. I mean, I've been there a lot, and I mean a lot. I don't think I've been to Roswell that many times, and like I said, Annihilation, no prep, even during COVID, that place was packed. That place was packed. It was crazy, and I think the only time I've ever seen a track more packed during COVID was when I went to Bandimere, and there was 70,000. It was sold out, dude. There were helicopters flying over. It was crazy. That was one of the funnest races I've ever been to, man. But I guess we're kind of sort of interested to hear a little bit about more about how Bounty Hunters and Winter Meltdown came to, because you guys have been together for 10 years now, right? With the Winter Meltdown. So how did that come about?
Yeah, I think we're going on 8 years with them, 8 or 9. This might be the 9th year that we've done them shows. They were primarily with San Antonio Raceway, Alamo City Dragway, whatever you want to call it at the time.
Yeah.
They were racing there. I'm real close with Mike Murillo, and Mike Murillo was part of the show. And when Amarillo Dragway went away, they called me up, and Mike said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, let's talk to Matt and Jason and see if we can make this deal happen." So we came to an agreement and did a partnership, and the rest is history, man. It's, there's lots of changes throughout the race, with the big tire going away and street outlaws coming in.
Well, the addition of Little Gangsters, and I mean, yeah, like I said, Big Tire fizzled out pretty quickly, and I mean, now everybody wants to either do Small Tire or Little Gangsters, and I mean, Little Gangsters is huge now. It's massive. They got classes for them at World Series of Pro Mod, and I mean, Little Gangsters is bringing in more money than Small Tire for the most part.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a good class. It filled in. Small Tire took over Big Tire, and Little Gangsters took over Small Tire. Right.
So Small Tire is for the really fast Small Tire guys, and Little Gangsters for, I mean, pretty much everyone else. But I mean, unless you're running low fours on a Small Tire, I mean, Little Gangsters is right up your alley because you detune and you're right where you need to be at a 530.
So Matt and I started junior varsity, which was the same class as Little Gangsters years ago, and it worked. And then, of course, Tom and Michael took it to a whole nother level,
Yeah.
and just blew up with it, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's the racing needed it.
Yeah, well, like I said, Little Gangsters is a pretty huge class. So one thing that I did want to bring up, I mean, obviously me and John were talking about a little while ago, when it comes to junior dragsters, being at a facility. I think that, in my opinion, and I know John probably feels the same way when it comes to juniors. I mean, you kind of set the standard for a lot of the junior parents in the Southwest for places to race juniors. I've been to multiple. I mean, I've been to every bounty hunters race except for maybe 2 or 3. I think I missed one last year, and the junior purse started at $500 or whatever it was, and by the end of the night, it's 3,500. I think it was like 4,500 at Annihilation in 2019. It's just crazy how much they. This is the kind of atmosphere that I like to see, coming from a junior parent. Obviously all 3 of us are junior parents. Does that, being a junior parent, have an effect on the way juniors are valued and treated at Penwell Knights Raceway?
Man, the way our track was set up, I made it a point early on to use the other return road for the juniors to keep them safe, and I built a junior pit. Right, it was one of the things I did after we opened up. The first movement was, and I wanted to build a junior program. At the time, my oldest daughter was racing then,
right,
and it got me into it. But I bought a bunch of cars to give to other kids, to give them a place to start in racing. Less fortunate kids for the most part, and that's helped grow the sport in Odessa. I still do that. I just bought a car here a couple months ago and gave it away. As far as the class building, and man, it's just the parents came on board and started liking what we were doing, and it grew from there. And then you're talking about purses. Go ahead.
And like I said, as far as the purse is concerned, I mean, like I said, they just, they seem to love it down there, and everybody's always willing to, pony up a little extra cash, especially when it comes to the juniors, and it always makes me proud to be able to see that stuff going on. And I mean, I've seen it at other tracks, Albuquerque and Roswell, but it just seems that, I don't know, maybe it's everything. The purse is bigger in Texas. I'm not sure. Those people they always want to give a little bit extra. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a little bit extra to give around West Texas when the oil country's booming.
Yeah.
I think the first Dirty South race, I think we had a $10,000 purse.
Right, I remember.
$10,000.
Yeah, the Dirty South was coming to my mind when you were talking about Mike Murillo.
Yeah, I think the first Dirty South, it was like we ended up with like $10,000. We gave out with all the racers all the way.
Yeah.
And then it's just every year somebody always steps up to the plate, makes the purse bigger. We might be racing for 1,000, or Chase Rader, Chase's Diesel and Performance. He puts up $1,000 at every big show.
Right.
So he's a big contributor to making the deal happen. And then you got guys like Brody Melton and Toby Knock, and that have always thrown money at the kids. So
yeah.
Some big names. Cody Baker used to do a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, you better tell those Texas boys the next time you're at the track that these New Mexico boys are coming to take that money at bounty hunters. Hey, isn't that right, John?
Well,
we're gonna fight for it.
Y'all been putting a hurting on us anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
John ain't messing around.
We've come down a couple times and had some good seasons, but the one thing we never got to do was win one of Matt's races, which may always have a little chap. I mean, I got a couple of the kids that are gonna be doing some stuff, but. Yeah, so I think we've been on it for about 40 minutes. Make sure you guys check out Bounty Hunters at Penwell Knights Raceway. It's March 27th and 28th. If you haven't been to a no prep race, I mean, I didn't go to my first one. My first one was at Penwell Knights Raceway, and me and Gary have been best buddies ever since. And like I said, if I have a track that I like to go to, I always say that it's Odessa. Gary, what's your favorite track?
Man.
And you can't say PKR because we all know that it's a good track. You can't. I told Robert.
I don't get out much. I work all the time, so the most fun I have at a track really is XRP.
Okay, yeah, I haven't been there yet, but we're planning on going. John, what's your favorite track?
I gotta be honest, it's gonna be PKR. PKR is definitely one of our favorites. That we've ever been to. And Gary knows this. Gary's been trying to get me to come to PKR for years.
Hey, so have I.
Ever since I threw my first race, Gary's been trying to get us to come over. And we haven't been able to make it work. Well, last year we made it work. We hit Bounty Hunters, we hit Winter Meltdown, we hit the Halloween race, and you know what? We had the best time. And it was an absolute blast. We had a little bit of luck while we were there for the Halloween race, and man, it's one of those, from management to all the staff that's there, does a phenomenal job. They are kind of, Paul, what we were talking about earlier, one of the ones that makes you want to come back to the track. And it doesn't matter if it's the lane person, the guy, the girl that's standing at the back of the lanes, the front of the lanes, the ticket booth. It doesn't matter. Gary's standing on the starting line 90% of the time, greeting people, talking to people, helping out any way he can. That right there just shows the love of the sport and shows that they want you there. They want you to come back and bring more cars. And that's exactly what we're trying to do right now. So we're trying to light it up. So next time we roll in, I don't know about Bounty Hunters, but we're hoping to bring about 6 or 8 cars with us as we come. So mostly big cars, but we're hoping to bring a junior or 2.
Oh, I can't bring any cars, but I will definitely be there. And like I said, Gary, you already know this. Like I said, we're coming down to Bounty Hunters for Scott. Scott McKinstry passed away from cancer last week. So obviously, this show being with PKR and the entire thing, this show is definitely dedicated to Scott. Scott, we missed you. And like I said, this has been the Starting Line Society. Gary, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you taking time out of your long, busy day. John, like I said, I'm glad we were able to do this and have a little bit of fun. But yeah, this has been the Starting Line Society. It's a great way to end the show. We'll do all the editing and see you guys here next week, Friday night, 7 p.m.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys later.
Thanks, everybody.